So before we look at the question, let's look at the diagram on the right hand side. In the diagram, you can see the interior of a vehicle, and this is basically what the driver will see. We can see a road that follows straight ahead, and we can see a road sign towards the left hand side of the road. Now this is actually a stop sign, and everyone that is watching this video should know exactly what a stop sign is. Question 1. What does the sign instruct you to do? Is it option A, stop? Is it option B, slow down? Or is it option C, speed up? Now automatically when you see a stop sign, you should know that your vehicle has to come to a complete stop. Therefore, the correct answer here would be option A. Now in this diagram, you can see a circular shaped sign that has a red border and a red line going through. We can see a black object within that road sign. Now some people may not be able to decipher what this is. This is actually a horn, right? So when they're talking about a horn, you have to know that they are referring to your hooter. So if you see a red line going through a sign that has a horn, they are instructing you to not use your hooter, right? So question 2, what does the sign forbid you from doing? Is it option A, revving your vehicle? Is it option B, using your radio? Or is it option C, using your hooter? Now the only correct option here would be option C. This sign will forbid you from using your hooter. In this diagram, you can see a combined sign. So there is a circular shape on top, and below that there is a rectangular shaped sign. Now within the circle portion, we can see that there is a motor vehicle that has a red line going through it. And in the rectangle section, we can see it says 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now what does this sign mean? This sign will actually forbid motor vehicles from driving in this area between 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. So you would have to look for that time period in your answer. So question 3, what does the sign forbid you from doing? Is it option A, driving a black vehicle? Is it option B, driving your vehicle here between 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.? Or is it option C, parking your vehicle in this area? Now because only option B will give you the timestamps between 6:30 to 9 a.m., that will be your correct answer. In this diagram, you can see a rectangular shaped sign with a red background, white border, and a white arrow that is pointing towards the left hand side. So question 4, what does the sign tell you? Is it option A, there is a one-way roadway ahead? Is it option B, you must turn right? Or is it option C, only ambulances can turn left? Now with option C, the sign doesn't specifically say ambulances can turn left, therefore that cannot be your answer. With option B, it says you must turn right. However, this road sign is pointing towards the left hand side, so that cannot be correct as well. The only correct option here can be option A. Now in this diagram, you can see the sign is to the right hand side of the road, and it is a circular shaped sign with a white border, blue background, and a white arrow. Now the arrow is pointing towards the left hand side. So question 5, what does the sign indicate? Is it option A, there is a stop street ahead? Is it option B, you must keep right? Or is it option C, you must keep left? Now since the arrow is pointing towards the left hand side, you have to keep left. So option C would be your correct answer. Question 6, which type of vehicles are allowed on this road? Now let's look at our road sign. It is back towards the left hand side of the road. Now we can see again a blue background, a white border, and there is a motor vehicle in that sign. Now this icon of the vehicle is not specifically talking about sedans, and it is not specifically relating to hatchbacks. It is just motor vehicles. So question 6, which type of vehicles are allowed on this road? Is it option A, motor vehicles? Is it option B, sedans? Or is it option C, hatchbacks? The correct answer here would be option A, motor vehicles. Now within this diagram, we can see there are two things to look out for. First is the road sign. We can see it is in a triangular shaped sign, and there is a dip and a water formation within that sign. Now in the diagram on the road ahead, you can see there's a lot of water on the road. So what is the sign warning you of? Is it option A, sand dunes ahead? Is it option B, the beach ahead? Or is it option C, a dip in the road that is flooded? The correct answer would be option C, there is a dip in the road ahead that is flooded. Now again in this diagram you can see the icon of a motor vehicle, right? And that is within a circular shaped sign with a red border and a red line going through, and this has a white background. So question 8, what does this sign mean? Is it option A, motor vehicles are prohibited beyond this point? Is it option B, you cannot park in this area? Or is it option C, both A and B? Now the correct option here would be option A, only motor vehicles are prohibited beyond this point. Now within this diagram we can see a circular shaped sign with a red border. However, we can see three unique icons within the sign. We can see 2T. We can then see another arrow that is pointing towards the axle, right? That other long icon there is known as an axle. So question 9, what does this sign mean? Is it option A, only 2 vehicles are allowed? Is it option B, bikes are prohibited in this area? Or is it option C, vehicles with an axle mass of more than 2 tons are prohibited? Now this is referring to your axle mass, right? So if your vehicle has an axle mass of more than 2 tons, you are not allowed to go ahead, right? You're not allowed to go past this sign. So option C would be our correct answer. Question 10, what does this sign mean? Now let's look at this sign, right? This is a diamond shaped sign. It has a red background, it has a white border, and it has a white icon of a pedestrian. So question 10, what does the sign mean? Is it option A, speed up? Is it option B, all pedestrians have right of way? Or is it option C, don't stop your vehicle for pedestrians waiting to cross? Now the correct answer here would be option B. Whenever you see the sign, pedestrians have the right of way. So that means that if you are driving right and you see pedestrians that are waiting to cross, you have to stop your vehicle and let them cross as they have the right of way. Question 11. Here in this diagram you see the minimum speed limit. How do we know that it is a minimum speed limit sign? We can see it has a blue background, a white border, it is in the shape of a circle, and the speed indicated within the sign is written in white. So this question asks, what does the sign mean? Is it option A, only 50 cars are allowed here? Is it option B, the maximum speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour? Or is it option C, the minimum speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour? Now the correct answer here would be minimum speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour. Now if the sign had a red border, a white background, and the speed limit was written in black, then that would actually be the maximum speed limit, not the minimum speed limit. Question 12, what does this sign mean? Now we can see that this sign is again a circular shaped sign. There is a blue background, a white border, and there is an icon of a bicycle, right? Another word they could use for bicycle is a pedal cycle. So just keep that at the back of your mind. If you see either or, then you know what it is. So what does the sign mean? Is it option A, only heavy motor vehicles are allowed here? Is it option B, only motorbikes are allowed here? Or is it option C, only bicycles may ride here? Now since this is an icon of a bicycle, the only correct option that is given to us is option C, only bicycles may ride here. Now we can see another circular shaped sign, but within the sign we can see there are 2 trucks and there's a red line going through only one of those 2 trucks. Question 13, what does the sign prohibit truck drivers from doing? Is it option A, overtaking? Is it option B, racing? Or is it option C, stopping? Now the correct answer here would be overtaking. This sign will prohibit truck drivers from overtaking. Now within this diagram you can see a circular shaped sign towards the left hand side of the road, and there's a capital letter S with a red line going through. Again, this has a red border and a white background. So what does this sign mean, right? What is the zone that you are entering? Is it option A, a no speeding zone? Is it option B, a no stopping zone? Or is it option C, a no smoking zone? The correct answer here would be option B. This is a no stopping zone. So if you see the sign, then you are not allowed to stop. Question 15. Which of the following vehicles are prohibited in this area? Now let's look at that road sign, right? Again, it is a circular shaped sign with a red border and there's a red line going through. Now this is actually the rear view of a truck. However, within that icon there is a yellow diamond. That diamond will refer to vehicles that are carrying hazardous substances, right? So question 15, which of the following vehicles are prohibited in this area? Is it option A, trucks carrying diamonds? Is it option B, trucks carrying juice? Or is it option C, vehicles carrying hazardous substances? Now the correct answer here would be option C. This road sign will prohibit vehicles that are carrying hazardous substances. In this diagram, we can see a triangular shaped sign. We can see there's a motor vehicle, a light motor vehicle that is crashing into a heavy motor vehicle that is going down a slope. So what does the sign mean? Is it option A, be aware of slow moving heavy vehicles ahead? Is it option B, no trucks are allowed ahead? Or is it option C, you must stop ahead? Now the correct answer here would be option A, you have to beware of slow moving heavy vehicles ahead. We see another triangular shaped sign. Now remember, triangular shaped signs are warning signs. And within this warning sign, we can see there's a tunnel ahead. So what does this sign warn you of? Is it option A, it warns you of a tunnel ahead? Is it option B, it warns you of a car park ahead? Or is it option C, it warns you of cars overtaking ahead? The correct option here would be option A. Question 18. What does this sign mean? Now again, we can see a combined sign, right? There's a maximum speed limit. That is the circular portion of the sign. And below that, we can see a rectangular shaped sign. And within that, we can see there are two stars and a moon. Now that is referring to the night time, right? So question 18, what does this sign mean? Is it option A, you must drive at night? Is it option B, you are not allowed to drive below 100 kilometers an hour? Or is it option C, you are not allowed to drive over 100 kilometers an hour at night? Now, because that is a maximum speed limit, you are not allowed to drive over that. And the only option that is given to us which speaks about a maximum speed limit is option C. So whenever you see the sign, you cannot drive over 100 kilometers an hour at night. Question 19. What does the sign prohibit? Now this is a circular shaped sign with a red line going through and a red border. And it contains the capital letter A and a capital letter V. Now that A and V will stand for abnormal vehicles. So does the sign prohibit option A, abnormal vehicles, option B, fast vehicles, or option C, light motor vehicles? The correct answer here would be option A, abnormal vehicles. Question 20. What does this sign prohibit? Now this again is a circular shaped sign with a red border, white background, and a red line going through. We can see that that icon of that arrow that's going forward and then makes a U-turn, right? This entire sign will prohibit U-turns. So is option A, the sign prohibits spinning? Is it option B, the sign will prohibit U-turns? Or is it option C, the sign will prohibit right turns? The correct answer here would be option B, the sign will prohibit U-turns. So question 1, what is the purpose of the rules of the road? Is it option A, to help you pass your learner's license? Is it option B, to make sure you only drive a reliable vehicle? Or is it option C, to protect every person who uses the road? Now the answer to this would be option C. The purpose of the rules of the road is to protect every person who uses the road. Question 2. Which of the following is true? Is it option A, you are allowed to drive on the right-hand side of a one-way road if it is safe to do so? Is it option B, vehicles that have more than 300 kilowatts are not allowed on the road? Or is it option C, it is not necessary to stop at a stop street? Now the correct answer to this question would be option A. You are not allowed to drive on the right-hand side of a one-way road if it is safe to do so. Now why is that the answer, right? Let's look at the other two. Let's look at option B. It says vehicles that have more than 300 kilowatts are not allowed on the public road. Now we know that there are vehicles on our public roads that have way more than 300 kilowatts, right? Be it from factory or aftermarket sources, right? So option B cannot be your answer. Now option C, it is not necessary to stop at a stop street. It is compulsory to stop at a stop street. So option C would be incorrect as well. And that will leave us with option A. You are allowed to drive on the right-hand side of a one-way road if it is safe to do so. Question 3. What is considered a safe following distance for a light motor vehicle? Now the question is asking for a light motor vehicle. Is it option A, a 2-second following distance? Is it option B, a 1-second following distance? Or is it option C, a 3-second following distance? Now the correct answer for a light motor vehicle would be option A 2-second following distance. Question 4. What is considered a safe following distance for a heavy motor vehicle? Now obviously a heavy motor vehicle will have to have a longer following distance, right? A greater following distance. So the correct answer for a heavy motor vehicle will be a 3-second following distance. Question 5. Which of the following will cause you to increase your following distance? Now what do they mean when they say increase your following distance? It means that you'll have to have a greater distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you, right? Is it option A, if it's a Sunday afternoon? Is it option B, poor weather conditions? Or is it option C, if the vehicle in front of you is a light motor vehicle? Now the correct option here would be option B, because remember, in poor weather conditions, it will be harder for you to see out of your windscreen. If something happens in front of you, it's going to be harder for you to see. Therefore, if you have a greater distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, you have enough time to stop. And you also have enough time to avoid whatever is happening on the road, right? Question 6. What should you always do? Is it option A, display your vehicle license disc? Is it option B, drive with your left foot resting on the clutch? Or is it option C, keep your radio off while driving? Now automatically option C would be incorrect because you can keep your radio on while driving, right? Option B would be incorrect as well because it's not that you're not allowed to drive with your left foot resting on the clutch. It's not encouraged because remember, if you're going to drive with your left foot resting on the clutch, it's going to wear out the clutch quicker and that will damage your vehicle. So it's not recommended to do so. Option A will be your correct answer. You have to display your vehicle license disc. Question 7. If the road you are traveling on is divided by a painted line, on which side of the division should you drive on? Is it option A, you are supposed to drive over the division? Is it option B, the right side? Or is it option C, the left side? Now the correct answer for this would be option C, the left side. Question 8. When are you allowed to cross this barrier or division? Is it option A, only if you drive a heavy motor vehicle? Is it option B, whenever you feel like doing so? Or is it option C, at an opening where it is indicated to do so? Now, option C would be our correct answer. Question 9. Which of the following should you not do while on the public road? Is it option A, drive continuously on the shoulder of the road? Is it option B, you should not allow the passengers of your vehicle to sleep? Or is it option C, allow someone to overtake you? Now option C, you are allowed to let someone overtake you, so option C is incorrect. Now with option B, obviously the passengers of the vehicle can sleep if they want to. Let's say you're going on a road trip and they're tired, obviously they can sleep. The only correct answer here would be option A, right? You should not drive continuously on the shoulder of the road. Question 10. You are not allowed to park. Is it option A, on your neighbor's driveway? Is it option C, in a place that will obscure a road sign? Or is it option C, in front of a supermarket? Now obviously you can't park in front of a supermarket, right? Be it there are parking spaces available there. Now option B, obviously you cannot park in a place that will obscure a road sign. So the correct answer here would be option B. Question 11. What will happen if you park within 1.5 meters of a fire hydrant? Is it option A, you will be fined and or your vehicle will be impounded? Is it option B, you will be arrested? Or is it option C, nothing will happen? Now, if you park within 1.5 meters of a fire hydrant, you will be fined and or your vehicle will be impounded. Therefore, option A will be your correct answer. Question 12. When should you never overtake? Is it option A, after 8 p.m. on a weekday? Is it option B, if you drive a slow car? Or is it option C, when your visibility is limited? Now, you should never overtake when your visibility is limited, right? So, option C will be your correct answer. So, why should you never overtake when your visibility is limited? Remember, if your visibility is limited, it means that you can't really see out of the windscreen. And if you're going to overtake, there could be a car on that other lane and you will get into an accident. So option C will be your correct answer. Question 13. What should you not do when overtaking on the left? Is it option A, cross over the yellow line? Is it option B, break the speed limit? Or is it option C, both A and B are correct? The correct answer here would be option C. Both A and B are correct. Question 14. When may you enter a public road? Is it option A, if there is bumper-to-bumper traffic? Is it option B, if it is free of other traffic? Or is it option C, both A and B are correct? Now the answer cannot be option C because A would be incorrect, right? If there is bumper-to-bumper traffic, you cannot enter a public road, right? It has to be free of traffic. Therefore, option B would be your correct answer. Question 15. Are you allowed to use hand signals on a freeway? Is it option A, yes, option B, no, or option C, only on weekends? Now the correct answer here would be option B, no. Question 16. Is a passenger allowed to help steer the vehicle? Now automatically you should know this answer. The answer is no. Question 17. Are you allowed to park your vehicle in a tunnel? Is it yes, no, or only on weekends? The correct answer here would be no. Question 18. When is it compulsory to stop? Is it option A, if your friend tells you to do so? Is it option B, if you are directed to do so by a traffic officer? Or is it option C, if there is a speed bump ahead? Now the correct answer here would be option B. It is compulsory for you to stop if you are directed to do so by a traffic officer. Question 19. What is the first thing you should do if you get into an accident? Is it option A, call your boss and inform him or her about what has transpired? Is it option B, go straight home? Or is it option C, stop your vehicle? Now the first thing that you should do if you get into an accident is to stop your vehicle. That is the most important thing to do. Are you allowed to leave a vehicle without using the handbrake? Is it option A, yes, option B, no, or option C, only in a manual vehicle? Now, before you leave a vehicle, you have to use your handbrake, because if you're going to leave a vehicle without the handbrake on, then it's going to roll and possibly knock another car or person, right? So, the correct answer here would be option B. Question 21. You are not allowed to. Is it option A, stop on a public road, drive a vehicle that has 21-inch rims? Or is it option C, leave your engine running while you are filling fuel into it? Now, obviously, for option A, you are allowed to stop on a public road. Now, option B is also not the correct answer. The correct answer here would be option C. Question 22. You are not allowed to. Is it option A, drive a vehicle that causes excessive noise? Is it option B, drive a vehicle that has a radio? Or is it option C, fill fuel on a Monday afternoon? Now, the correct answer here would be option A. You are not allowed to drive a vehicle that causes excessive noise. Question 23. Any race event on a public road should be approved by who? Is it A, relevant authorities? Is it option B, your neighbors? Or is it option C, you don't need approval from anyone? Now, the correct answer here would be option A. You have to have the race event approved by relevant authorities, right? Question 24. Are you allowed to drag your wheels? Is option A, no? Is option B, yes? Or is option C, only on weekends? Correct answer here would be no. Question 25. Which of the following is not allowed on a freeway? Is it option A, a sedan? Is it option B, an SUV? Or is it option C, motor tricycles? Correct answer here would be option C. Question 26. When are animals allowed near or on a public road? Is it option A, when they are under control? Is it option B, if they are going for a walk? Or is it option C, when they are alone? Now the correct answer here would be option A, when they are under control. Question 27. What is the speed limit on a road within an urban area? Is it option A, 100 kilometers an hour? Is it option B, 60 kilometers an hour? Or is option C, 120 kilometers an hour? Now the correct answer here would be option B, 60 kilometers an hour. Question 28. What is the speed limit on a road outside an urban area? Is it 100 kilometers an hour? Is it 60 kilometers an hour? Or is it 120 kilometers an hour? Correct answer here would be 100 kilometers an hour. Now what is the speed limit on freeways? Is it 100 kilometers an hour? Is it 60 kilometers an hour? Or is it 120 kilometers an hour? Correct answer here would be 120 kilometers an hour. Now for our last question, what is the speed limit for a bus? Is it 100 kilometers an hour? Is it 60 kilometers an hour? Or is it 120 kilometers an hour? Now the correct answer for this would be option A, 100 kilometers an hour. Question 1. How far should someone be able to see a car's turn signals in regular daylight if they have normal eyesight? Now remember, turn signals are your indicators. So is it option A, 20 meters? Is it option B, 30 meters? Or is it option C, 150 meters? Now the correct answer here would be 30 meters. So what does this mean? This means that if someone is 30 meters away from your vehicle in regular daylight, and if they have normal eyesight, they should be able to see your car's indicator lights, right? So question 2. What color should indicator lights be? Is it option A, pink? Is it option B, blue? Or is it option C, white, yellow, or amber? Now let's think about the indicator lights, right? I'm sure we all have seen an indicator light before. So try to remember, what color have you seen, right? And look at the options given to you. Which of the options will closely resemble the color that you remember? Is it option A, pink? Is it option B, blue? Or is it option C, white, yellow, or amber? The correct answer here would be option C, white, yellow, or amber. Question 3. What is the correct name for this sign? So let's look at that sign, right? It's the green sign on the right hand side. We can see there's sort of a rectangular shape and then an arrowhead towards the left. And we can see it says New End High School. So they're not asking you what does the sign tell you, what is the meaning of the sign. They're asking you what is the correct name for the sign. So don't get confused, because they can ask you road sign questions in many different ways. So is it option A, a fingerboard? Is it option B, a green board? Or is it option C, a blue board? Now, just because the sign is green doesn't mean it's called a green board, right? The name of the sign has nothing to do with colors. Therefore, option A would be your correct answer. The name of the sign, the correct name of the sign, is a fingerboard. Question 4. Which sign notifies you of two-way traffic ahead? Is it option A, B, or C? So let's look at option A. We can see two lanes there and they are narrowing towards each other, right? In option B, we can see there are two people there. There's an adult and a child. And option C, we can see two arrows going in different directions. Now, all three are warning signs. How do we know it's warning signs? It's in a triangular shape and it has a red border. Now, the reason that I say option C is the correct answer is because we can see there are two arrows, right? Each arrow will represent the direction of traffic. And since both are going in opposite directions, it's indicating to you that there's two-way traffic ahead. Question 5. Will a horse-drawn vehicle be allowed on a public road? Is it option A, no? Is it option B, yes? Or is it option C, only on weekends? Now let's think about this properly. Is any cart that is pulled by an animal allowed on the road? Do you see any on the road? And obviously if you don't see any on the road, then you know most likely it's not allowed. So the correct answer here would be option A. Question 6. Which sign will you find in mountainous areas? Is it option A, B, or C? So let's look at option A. This again is a warning sign, and we can see there are rocks falling within that sign. And option B, we can see a vehicle that's going off the road into water, and we can see option C is a drawbridge. Now, the only correct answer here would be option A, because if you think about mountains, what do we think about? We think about rocks. And if there are rocks falling, then obviously that would mean it is a mountainous area. So option A will be your correct answer. Question 7. Which sign will you find in an area with water? Is it option A, B, or C? Now, we have said this in the previous question, that option B will indicate to you that the road ahead ends because of water. Therefore, option B will be your correct answer. Question 8. In an urban area, you can't leave your car unattended for more than, is it option A, 48 hours? Is it option B, 2 days? Or is it option C, 7 days? Now you should see that option A and B are the same, and A and B are incorrect, right? Option C is your correct answer. So if you leave your car unattended for more than 7 days, right, in an urban area, it will be deemed abandoned and it will be taken away. It will be impounded, right? So question 9. Are you allowed to stop your vehicle within 6 meters of a bridge? Is it option A, yes, option B, no, or is it option C, only on weekends? Now the correct answer here would be option B, no. Question 10. Which sign will warn you of a road that narrows from one side only? Is it option A, B, or C? So option A will feature a train, so that can't be it. Right, let's just skip to option C. Option C, you'll see 2 elderly people within that sign, and again that will not be it. The correct answer here is indeed option B. As you can see, there is one lane going straight ahead, and that is the lane on the left, and then the lane on the right hand side will then narrow towards the lane on the left, and option B will be your correct answer. Question 1. Is a load that is placed on the roof of your vehicle allowed to touch the road surface? Is it option A, yes? Is it option B, no? Or is it option C, only if you drive a bakkie? Now let's think about this carefully, right? Let's think about a vehicle. It can be a hatchback, a sedan, or even a bakkie. And let's say you have a load on top. Let's say it's a mattress. Is that mattress allowed to touch the road surface? Let's think about it. Obviously, if it's going to touch the road surface, not only will it be a hazard to you as a driver, but it will also be a hazard to other road users. So obviously the answer will be no. So the correct answer here would be option B, no. A load that is placed on the roof of your vehicle cannot touch the road surface. Question 2. Are you allowed to have a load that exceeds 3 meters in height from the ground? Now this is the type of question where you will have to know the exact details in order to get the correct answer. So obviously you would have to know the height that a load cannot exceed, obviously a height that is measured from the ground. So is it option A? No. 3 meters is the max height allowed. Is it option B? Yes. Or is it option C, only on weekends? Now because we are looking at the height of a load that is measured from the ground, the correct answer in this question will be option B, yes. Remember, 3 meters is not the limit, right? You are allowed to go above 3 meters. Now the next question will go even deeper on this topic. Question 3. Can you have a load that exceeds 4.3 meters in height from the ground? Again, we are measuring the height from the ground. Is it option A? Yes. Option B? No. Or is it option C, only on weekends? Now the number is increased to 4.3 meters. And like I said, you're going to have to know the exact numbers. So for this question, the correct answer here would be option B, no. So the maximum height of a load that is measured from the ground will be 4.3 meters. Because this question is talking about a load that would exceed 4.3 meters, obviously the answer will be no, because that is prohibited. In this diagram, we can see a simple representation of that, right? Remember, this is a heavy motor vehicle, but again, the restriction will also go for a light motor vehicle. So this heavy motor vehicle will have a load on the top, right? And the height of the load will be measured from the ground. So we can see that the height from the ground to the top of the load in this case will be exactly 4.3 meters. So that is actually allowed. The minute it goes beyond 4.3 meters, that's when it will be prohibited. I hope this diagram makes things a little bit easier to understand. Now question 4. Which of the following is true? Is it option A? The load on your vehicle must not exceed half the height of your vehicle. Is it option B? Hatchbacks are not allowed to carry a load. Or is it option C? Both A and B. So if they say both A and B, what they mean is both A and B are correct. So let's look at our options given. Let's look at option B. Option B says hatchbacks are not allowed to carry a load. Now obviously we know hatchbacks can carry a load, therefore option B will be incorrect. And if option B is incorrect, then that means that option C will automatically be incorrect as well, because option C says both A and B are correct. And that leaves us with option A, which will be our correct answer. Now option A states that the load on your vehicle must not exceed half the height of your vehicle. Question 5. In terms of a light motor vehicle, what is the maximum width that your load is not allowed to exceed? Now remember, in this question they're talking about the width. They're not talking about the length or the height. Is it option A, 2 meters? Is it option B, 1.2 meters? Or is it option C, 2.5 meters? Again, this is the type of question that requires you to know the exact units, right? So in this case, the maximum width that your load is not allowed to exceed will be 2.5 meters. So if you have a page and pen with you, then please write these numbers down, as these are numbers that you're going to have to memorize. Now this diagram will help us to understand this a little bit better. So this diagram will indicate to you the width, right? The maximum width of your load. So we can see that this is a load, right? That is loaded on top of a vehicle or the roof of the vehicle. And we can see that it is exactly 2.5 meters. Now remember, this is a light motor vehicle. And the minute this load exceeds 2.5 meters, it will be considered illegal, and obviously that will be prohibited. Now, another thing that you should take note of is that on either end of this load, you can see that there are red flags. Can you see that there's a red flag at this end and there's another red flag at the other end? If you are carrying a load, you're going to have a red flag in order to warn other road users of this load. Question 6. In terms of a goods vehicle that weighs more than 12,000 kilograms. Now look at the sign in front of 12,000. That sign actually means more than. What is the maximum width that your load is not allowed to exceed? Now in this question, they are not talking about light motor vehicles anymore. They're talking about goods vehicles. And to be specific, they're speaking about goods vehicles that weigh more than 12,000 kilograms. So what is the maximum width that your load is not allowed to exceed? Is it option A, 2.6 meters? Is it option B, 1.8 meters? Or is it option C, 2.35 meters? Now again, this is the type of question where you will have to know the exact units. So the correct answer for this question will be option A, 2.6 meters. Question 7. What is the furthest that a load may project to the front of the vehicle? Is it option A, 260 millimeters? Is it option B, 300 millimeters? Or is it option C, 235 millimeters? The correct answer here would be option B, 300 millimeters. So let's look at this diagram. We can see this is the side view of a vehicle, and we can see again there is a load that is carried on this vehicle, and that load is accompanied by a red flag. So let's look at the front of the vehicle. We can see that the maximum distance that a load may project to the front of the vehicle will be 300 millimeters. Obviously in this case it is well below that, but if it does go beyond this, then that will be prohibited. Question 8. What is the furthest that a load may project to the rear of the vehicle? Now remember, this will not be the same as the front. So is it option A, 0.8 meters? Is it option B, 30 centimeters? Or is it option C, 1.8 meters? Now the correct answer here would be option C, 1.8 meters. As you can see in this diagram, the maximum distance that the load may project to the rear of the vehicle will be 1.8 meters. And again, in this case, it is well below that. Question 9. What is the purpose of a blind spot check? Remember, this will be very important once you get to your driver's license test. So is it option A, to help you pass your driver's license test? Is it option B, to ensure that there are no vehicles or obstacles in areas not visible to your mirrors before changing lanes? Or is it option C, checking your blind spot is not important when on the public road? Now this is very important when on the public road, because remember, if you're going to be changing lanes, you're going to have to be 101% sure that the lane that you're about to turn into is clear. So the correct answer here would be option B. The purpose of a blind spot check is to ensure that there are no vehicles or obstacles in areas that are not visible in your mirrors before changing lanes. Question 10. What are the first two things you must do if your vehicle breaks down on a public road? Is it option A, stop your vehicle on the right lane and step out of your vehicle? Is it option B, phone your boss and inform him that you will be late for work? Or is it option C, move off the road if possible and switch on your hazard lights? Now with option A, obviously the right lane is known as the fast lane, and you cannot go stop your vehicle on that lane as you're going to disrupt the flow of traffic. And with option B, you can't assume that everyone is working and that everyone has a boss, right? So obviously the only correct answer here would be option C. You're going to have to move your vehicle off of the road, obviously if it is possible, and you have to switch your hazard lights on in case, right, it is at night and other vehicles might not see your vehicle. Question 11. What is the penalty for driving without a valid learner's or driver's license? Is it option A, you are allowed to drive on a public road without your learner's or driver's license? Is it option B, there is no penalty? Or is it option C, a fine or imprisonment? Now the correct answer here would be option C. You will either get a fine or you will be imprisoned. Now remember, you have to drive with a valid learner's or driver's license. Remember, in the case of a learner's license, you have to drive next to someone that has a valid driver's license. You cannot drive alone in a vehicle. But I'm sure we all know of someone that drives without any license at all. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Let's get to the next question. Question 12. What is the minimum legal tread depth for a car's tires? Is it option A, 1 millimeter? Is it option B, 5 millimeters? Or is it option C, 8 millimeters? Now the correct answer here would be option A, 1 millimeter. Question 13. What does a red circle around a number on a speed limit sign mean? Remember, I always emphasize this whenever I go through road signs. So let's see if you were paying attention. Is it option A, it indicates a hazard ahead? Is it option B, it indicates the minimum speed limit? Or is it option C, it indicates the maximum speed limit? Now a red circle around a number that is found on a speed limit sign would indicate the maximum speed limit. Question 14. Who has the right of way at a four-way stop? Is it option A, the vehicle that stops first? Or if two vehicles arrive simultaneously, the one to the right? Is it option B, the person with the faster vehicle? Or is it option C, everyone should leave at the same time? The correct answer here would be option A. Question 15. What is the purpose of a yellow line to the left side of the road? So this is basically what that will look like, right? Is it option A, to decorate the road? Is it option B, it indicates that you are allowed to park here to have a smoke break? Or is it option C, it marks the edge of the road and separates the emergency lane from the main road? Now obviously option A cannot be correct because the line is not there to decorate the road, and with option B, it's not there to allow you to have a smoke break on the side of the road. Correct answer here would be option C. It marks the edge of the road and separates the emergency lane from the main road. Question 16. How far from a pedestrian crossing are you allowed to park? Is it option A, 300 centimeters? Is it option B, within 5 meters? Or is it option C, no closer than 9 meters? Now the correct answer here would be option C. You are not allowed to park within 9 meters of a pedestrian crossing. Question 17. What must you do when approaching a flashing red traffic light? Is it option A, treat it as a stop sign, stop and proceed when safe? Is it option B, don't bother stopping as it's not a solid red light? Now what do they mean by solid red light? Obviously if the red light is on permanently. Or is it option C, stop and don't leave until a traffic officer instructs you to do so? Correct answer here would be option A. Question 18. When is it illegal to overtake another vehicle? Is it option A, if you drive a slow vehicle? Is it option B, on a blind rise, curve, or when there's a solid white line? Or is it option C, at night? Correct answer here would be option B. Question 19. What does a yellow traffic light mean? Is it option A, you must speed up? Is it option B, prepare to stop if it's safe to do so? Or is it option C, you must immediately stop? Obviously, if you are driving and the traffic light is illuminating a yellow light, you're going to have to prepare to stop if it's safe to do so. Question 20. What does a yield sign mean? Is it option A, slow down and give the right of way to other traffic? Is it option B, you should speed up? Or is it option C, you must immediately stop? Correct answer here would be option A, you have to slow down and give right of way to other traffic. Remember, if you are driving and you see a yield sign, however there are no cars in your way, then you are welcome to drive through and carry on your way. However, if you are approaching a yield sign, you're going to have to slow down, and if there are other cars in your way, then unfortunately you will have to come to a complete stop. We have now come to the end of the video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it this far to the end of the video. Remember, if you found that this video was useful for you, if you've learned new things, then please give the video a like, and please subscribe for more learner's license tips. If you're writing your learner's license soon, I want to wish you all the best. Trust in your preparation, and trust me, you will do exceptional. So as always, take care guys, God bless, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy guys.